What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Sharp Objects companion podcast presented by The Disorderly. Please head over to thedisorderly.com to check out all the best in sports and entertainment. We got baseball posts. I'm doing one of those every single week. Finally reached the All-Star break. Took a long time. Tons of TV stuff like this. We got interviews, breaking movie news, behind-the-scenes stuff, hidden little tidbits that you might have missed from the major websites, things like that. So I hope you guys check that out. I hope you spread the word about the website, and we continue to grow this thing. And for anyone listening to this, I really appreciate it. Rate, review, subscribe. Tell a friend about this. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Just share it on your social media. Tell people about it. That's what helps the most. So let's get into it. This is the second episode entitled Dirt. This show is fantastic. You can just tell right away. And I think I kind of knew that from the beginning of the first episode. I was like, okay, this is going to be great. It's really a show you can't look away from. Like, there's so many little creative and subtle sort of flash cuts that you're bound to miss something if you aren't super focused the entire time, which makes the whole note-taking process a little bit harder, by the way. So, when I'm doing this podcast and preparing for it, I'm taking notes during the show. And literally, I feel like there's been times where I'll look away to take a note, look up, and catch the very tail end of something, like a quick flash. And I'm like, shit, I need to see that, so I have to rewind it. So let's just say I've been heavy on the pause button. I've had to press pause a lot. Just to do the podcast and prepare for this podcast, because it's a dense show. There's a lot in there. It's obviously a mini series, so we saw with Big Little Lies that turned into a second season as well. But as far as we know, this is a 1 season, 8 episode kind of deal. And I read the book, so I don't know how. I guess they can go beyond the book. I don't know. But regardless, we're dealing with a pretty compact, dense thing. So I don't mind if they pack a bunch in. I'm not looking for a long haul thing. I'm looking for extremely entertaining week by week episodes, and we're too deep so far, but so far that's definitely what they're delivering. So I was happy to see that all the episodes are directed by the same guy as well. I talked about it a little bit, just how I liked the way it was shot and everything in episode 1. And it's very clear that this is the director that's responsible for this. His name is Jean-Marc Vallée, and he also did Dallas Buyers Club, Wild. He did Big Little Lies, which I just mentioned, a fellow HBO show, another great one if you somehow missed that along the way. But it's very clear that he's elite. He's an elite director. He's doing a fantastic job. I love the feel of this show. I think they capture the feel of the Flynn novel perfectly. Like I said, I'm not gonna lean into any sort of spoilers from the book or anything like that. But I will say this was the tone of the book. The way that they are shooting this has the same feel as the tone of the book, which a lot of people criticize the Dark Places movie that came out with Charlize Theron. That was also a Flynn novel. Gone Girl obviously got pretty good critical acclaim, but honestly, having read that book and watching that movie, I didn't love it. I didn't love the way that movie came out. I know it did well, obviously, but I didn't love it. This is actually the best adaptation of a Flynn novel for me. And also, out of the 3 that she has, this is my favorite book, so I'm glad that this is the one they deliver on, but yeah, so we'll get into the episode. There's a few things that we learned, some new clues about the discovered body from episode 1. So the little girl's teeth were pulled out. The body that was found in the alleyway, she had her teeth pulled out. That leads the detective to believe that a man must have done this, not a woman, and a strong one at that. Because he actually goes, takes his big pig head, puts it in his sink, tries to rip the teeth out, and takes muscle to do that, to rip the teeth out of the pig head. So it's like, okay, obviously, a petite woman couldn't have been the one that ripped this little girl's teeth out. It had to have been a man. Plus, I think a lot of times people just consider these murders, they jump right to it being a male suspect anyway. So that's kind of where the investigation's leading right now. But there was a kid who witnessed the kidnapping of Natalie Keene, once again, the second victim, and he, allegedly, this is just him talking. He's a little kid, obviously, but he says that a woman in white took Natalie. Now, he could be confused, or it could be his imagination, as the police seem to think. They think he's just making things up. He's got a sick mother. She wears a white gown, and, he's kind of been known to fib and exaggerate things in the past, I guess. So the police kind of dismiss it, but Camille definitely thinks that there's something more to it. She seems to buy into this a little bit. That's the theory she's going on. So she's almost chasing this woman in white. The detective's chasing, a stronger man or maybe a group of men that did this crime. So that's what's happening right now. He's also, there's a noted difference between the MO of the 2 victims. Like, one was dumped in a river, kind of dismissed. The second one was brought to the town center, which is obviously a huge risk. If you're trying to just dismiss his body and get away with murder, why would you risk carrying the child all the way to the town center and dumping her in an alley? So there's a lot of question marks between the 2 murders and whether they connect and things like that. It seems like Natalie's brother, John Keene, and Anne's father, Bob Nash, are the main suspects right now. That's kind of what people are looking at. But that's all we really get in terms of the murder investigation as far as raw stuff. The rest is sort of gathered from, bits of gossip around town. There's whispers that John Keane is gay, and they think that maybe that's why he killed his sister. John's girlfriend, Ashley, is a popular cheerleader girl who seems to be, she's taking John under her wing, kind of raising his social status beyond what it normally would be. I think Camille even writes in her notepad, she wrote, prom king and then loser, ? So everyone's kind of getting, this vibe that this John guy is not really cool, but he's in the in crowd because of who he's dating, and they also think there might be some secrets there. The girlfriend also, she mentions how, this story of this beautiful, sweet angel that is Natalie. They're talking about her at the funeral. She said that's definitely not Natalie. Natalie isn't this sweet angel. So it seems like she has some sort of skeletons in her closet as well. So a lot of sort of, conflicting stories, a lot of mystery, within the characters, things like that. And then, of course, Camille's sister, Emma, her younger sister, or half-sister, whatever, her and her friends seem to think that only kind of the weird girls get killed. She says, not the cool ones when they're talking about little girls getting murdered. And I don't know if that means that she knows something or if that's just, youthful arrogance and confidence and whatever. But side note, it also seems like her editor has something up his sleeve. It's implied that, he sent Camille back to force her to deal with her own issues from her childhood. They're, he's talking to his wife about, you can't fix her. And he's like, well, I'll think about it, whatever. So it seems like there's also more to the story than, just here's a good story, Camille. The people get out there. It seems like there was something there as well. So that's interesting to keep an eye on. Another interesting note, Jackie is the kind of the mother figure for Camille. I've noticed that obviously her real mom is very distant. Jackie is this nice lady, apparently the only lady that's ever been genuinely nice to her, as she says in this episode when she's talking to the detective. But she clearly looks up to her, and that also manifests in all sorts of ways. It's her being a reporter, and Jackie's sort of the town gossip. So, her interest in different stories and politics and things like that. Also, you could say that comes from her. Her being a drunk. They're both drunks, so obviously not all good things. But it seems like Jackie is somebody who Camille really looks up to. And by the way, so we have some idea why Camille drinks, right? It's to cover up her demons, her abusive childhood. Whether it was a distant mother, or just the loss of her sister, or whatever. She obviously struggled with some stuff. She was cutting herself. She carving words into her body, whatever. And also sort of covers up this pain with alcohol. She's drinking during the day. She's blacking out. She's drinking while she's driving constantly. She's got an alcohol problem, clearly. But why does Jackie drink? I wonder if that'll come out. Because I think right now we don't know. We don't have much context on that. We don't know why Jackie's drinking, why she's a drunk. She might just be a drunk. She might just, people go down that path. But there could be a reason to why she resorted to this. Maybe she knows something either from Camille's childhood or currently or whatever. So I don't know. That'll be interesting. Although I will also say that Camille said that, this is Wind Gap. Everyone's drinking, So it seems like that's sort of a popular theme in Wind Gap is that, people have problems. We saw that the kid's mom, the kid who saw the woman in white, his mom was apparently a meth addict as well. So it just seems like it's a rundown town. So I get that. So maybe there's nothing to this at all. I thought it'd be interesting to keep an eye on. And finally, just because I don't want to sweep it under the rug, it's probably worth mentioning Camille's sister, Emma, at the end, she's having a nervous breakdown because everything's not perfectly right in the dollhouse. She's like, it's not right. And she's sobbing and acting crazy, which is very weird because that's such a difference. I know we saw in the first episode that she acts completely different at home versus outside of the home, but this felt like a real genuine panic attack. Or it felt like she was really struggling. And she's so confident and sure of herself outside of the home. I don't know if it was an act. I don't know if she's clearly got some sort of mental hang up, but she did sort of shoot Camille a weird look afterwards. I don't know if that was a knowing, I'm faking it. I don't know why she would, though. It seems like she's having a nervous breakdown about the dollhouse not being right, though. So I don't know. That's interesting to examine as well, and sort of the weird. You can very clearly see how Camille is broken. We see that in very popular ways. She's an alcoholic. She's cutting herself. We can physically see this. But Emma, it's a little bit more complex, a little bit more under the surface, and it's going to be interesting to see that develop throughout the season. But anyway, that'll do it for this episode. These are going to be really quick hits. I love this show. If you're not watching the show, you probably shouldn't be listening to this podcast. But if you are watching the show, continue to listen, please, and turn your friends onto the show because it's honestly a really good show. I read the book. The plot's good. The acting's good. It's shot beautifully. It's one of the better shows I've seen in a while on HBO, and I don't say that lightly. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please rate, review, subscribe, and I hope to see you all next week. Peace, guys.